If you're wanting to build with Styrofoam, you are going to need a whole lot of shredded Styrofoam. I want to show how I've improved the design, cleaned it up. It is not nearly as messy as it used to be. And it allows you to recycle Styrofoam, which is an amazing product by itself. It is 98% air and 2% plastic. And ultimately, it is low cost, but it ends up getting thrown into our dumpster. And came up with using an electric lawnmower, flipping it upside down, and then gorilla taping and screwing a 55-gallon plastic barrel on the top of this thing. I was amazed at how well it worked. I just threw it in as fast as I could. It was just chopping up and throwing it out. But the chunks were too large. I had to put a grate in it right over here, and I used 1-inch size chicken mesh in here to be able to keep the Styrofoam in the barrel long enough to chop it up and then would blast it out. Once I determined that the lawnmower can do the job, now I could start making a couple more modifications on it and clean this thing up and make it a better design. And these bags, this particular one is 4 foot in diameter by 6 feet long, holds 75 cubic feet. I mean, that's like 10 bags, 55-gallon bags of the other. You can get even larger ones. They're long tunnel. Run about $17 to buy one of these bags. Of course, you can use them over and over again. So you use one of these blast brakes, and I bought this one at Home Depot for $8, and it's just open and close. And the opening is a good bit larger than this, but you can secure it with stretch cables around here, hang it from the ceiling, and then you've got your garbage pail out here to measure with, and you just open it up, fills the whole thing up, and you close it. And that will really keep it from flying around a whole lot. But this is where I've got the chute coming out here, and I just use these stretchy cables to strap it on there, and it's just blasting in. I'm not having to use any other fan. The blades are giving me enough of a blast to be able to fill this bag up. Now, occasionally it'll get all packed up over here and not at the back, and I'll have to release it and move it to the back of the bag and then bring it back up here, tie it back up, and away I go to fill it up again. The other thing that I made a change on was making a much smaller chute, so it's not totally open on the top. This is an 8x8 chute that I've got down here. I just made it out of OSB. I cut it around. At first I made I bought 3 clasps over here that I fit on all 3 sides of it, but these wouldn't hold, and it broke loose. As you can see in this section of the video, when I first tested it, worked loose, and it just popped completely open. Had a big mess. So I figured, okay, this is pretty violent inside of this thing when it's bouncing around with the blades and smashing against this thing right here. So I got to bolt this thing down a lot stronger. So I put these L brackets in, made of metal, and drilled holes with little blocks of OSB, and then put 2x2s on the top, and then put a bolt all the way through. So I have 3 bolts all the way around it that I can pull it down tight. Now I used insulation, the tube insulation, pipe insulation around the top. I put a little bit of glue on it. It's wood glue just to keep it in place. But I can tell you, you've got to get this thing sealed. If there is any air leaks around here, it will find it and start blowing out Styrofoam. And so I found leaks down in here and in the back in particular, all around where the wheels would mounted. And what I was finding is with this arrangement, the Gorilla Tape on the inside is getting battered. I mean, it's violent inside this thing when it's churning. And so I was having to replace the Gorilla Tape all the time. So I had a half a tube of liquid nails, and I use that to seal all the inside joints, and it dries hard. I mean, it's still flexible, but it worked great, and it's holding up very, very well inside the barrel. And you could use it all the way around here, but I didn't have to. It was just those areas that I needed to seal. The other thing is that I had that handle from the lawnmower just hanging on the side here, and it's a double button system. You press the one and you pull the handle down. I was having to use a clasp to hold it to get it going. It was in my way. So I decided, well, I know this thing's going to work now. This is permanent. Let's make this thing a lot more workable. And so I took all that off and I replaced it with this on-off switch. And this will make it so much handier, keep it out of the way, and I'm ready to plug it in whenever I am ready to use this thing. Now, the other thing I did was I got some wheels. This is on wheels now, and I can wheel this thing around in the corner, and it's just so handy. Now, the stand is loose from here, so this is two separate pieces. I didn't bolt them down together, but I made a stand where this thing will fit on. Now, depending on what electric lawnmower you use, they're different shapes, and so I just framed up a frame to hold it steady for this particular Cobalt 21-inch electric lawnmower. Now, you can use a battery-operated one, but they're not as strong, and you're going to run this for quite a while. This is great because, I mean, this is like 10 bags. It was taking me about 4 to 5 minutes per bag. So you can go a long time with this thing, and you're not having to open and close this, and it's just filling it up. I don't have all this mess happening. And this is not kicking it out. So it's exactly what I was hoping it would do. Now, if I had to do this over, I think I would make this 10 by 10. This is a little small on the chute. I am having to break these things up a little bit more, but that fits just fine in there, that size. But you have to break it up a little more than what I would like to drop it down into this thing. I'll show some videos over here of it actually running. So nice and clean. You won't keep it totally clean, just breaking these pieces up. You make a bit of a mess. Wonderful tool, and I can just wheel it into the corner when I'm done. And then you can release this. Pop it loose over here, and then pull your bag up and pop it into the corner. And it's not full yet. It's still got a whole lot more that I can put into this before it will be full.